My sister-in-law unleashed golden child meltdown at my wedding, mocked me as loose, then her cheating pregnancy was exposed and she was refused a voice. So here's the deal, I'm 26 years old, and there's this guy, let's call him Max, okay? Max and I have been together for quite a while, right from the start. Now, Max's family, they're pretty cool with me, but his sister, let's name her Olivia, is just a total nightmare to deal with. Just to give you the full picture, Max is the oldest kid in his family. His parents came from Asia, and then 3 years after Max was born, along comes Olivia. Max has shared stories about how their parents are super strict about school grades. They always pushed him and Olivia to be at the top of their class, aiming for the best scores possible. But here's the thing. Max wasn't really into the whole studying scene. He was more of an athlete, really good at sports. Plus, he was super into chess, joining the chess club at school, and even hanging out after school to play. But his parents, they didn't get it. They thought chess was a total waste of time, something anybody could do, and they kept nagging him to quit and focus on his studies. Max was smart, but not in the way his parents wanted him to be. Olivia, on the other hand, was exactly what they wanted. She was all about the books, always nailing her exams and spending her nights buried in homework. As you can guess, she was favored more by their parents. Max has told me how his parents would always compare both their grades and reward Olivia for being better. For example, they would allow her to have a grand birthday party, have sleepovers with her friends, and buy her bigger presents to show their affection. However, when it came to Max, they would tell him regularly that they were ashamed about his marks. When it came to his birthdays, they would refuse to spend any money and tell him how he needs to work harder if he wants to earn a birthday party and gifts. Even writing about this makes me so sad, because I have watched Max break down in front of me while he told me stories from his childhood and how his parents always treated Olivia better. She was the golden child in the family, and she clearly enjoyed it. She would put him down at every chance she got and make fun of his marks. She never had any respect for him as an older sibling, and I think this disrespect still continues today. When it was time for Max to go to college, his parents made it clear that they could not afford to pay for both of their college tuitions, so they could only pay for his sister's tuition fees, and he needed to apply for scholarships or take a student loan. This completely shocked Max, and they had a huge fight. He went off on his parents about how they always treated him and why they even had him if they didn't like him. His parents told him how they have made so many sacrifices over the years for their children, so now it was time for Max to grow up. Olivia agreed with her parents and told Max how he was clearly not the intelligent one in the family, so he needed to just suck it up and sacrifice for her sake. She also called him a bunch of other things, like the loser. It was after this fight that Max realized that his parents would always continue to favor her more than him. When he got admission to his college to study computer science with scholarships, he decided to move out and go low contact with his family. His parents never came to see him off or help him move into the dorm, which is so heartbreaking to even think about. Over the years, they would sometimes talk, but Max would mostly keep it short. When he was graduating cum laude, his parents wanted to come and cheer for him, but Max forbade them from coming. They started to cry about how he was their son, and they wanted to be there for his big moment. Max reminded them about how they had not even bothered to pay for his college tuition while they paid for Olivia's tuition, so they were not allowed to be a part of his achievements anymore. They fought a bit, but in the end, his parents agreed to stay away. This is how their relationship had been for a long time. Now, I'm an architect, and I have done a master's in urban planning from one of the top universities in our country. Unlike Max's parents, my parents were relatively easy on me. I'm a single child, so I pretty much got all the attention. My parents are professors, so all my life I was encouraged to study what I like and have other hobbies as well. I have to admit that I was lucky to never face any comparison. My parents have always had my back. When I met Max, he and I were working from the same office complex but on different floors, as his company was on the 2nd floor and mine was on the 7th. We would usually meet in the elevators and have mutual friends who would hang out as a group. This is how I met him during a party, and we hit it off. Max was charming, sweet, genuinely kind. He is the sort of boyfriend who brings me flowers every month, brings me my favorite cheesecake when I have period cramps without even asking, cooks for me, and is not shy to tell me how much he loves me. Now, I'm a sucker when it comes to romance, so it didn't take us long before I moved in with him, as it made more sense since we did spend a lot of time together at each other's place. Now, I've heard horror stories from my girlfriends about how some of their boyfriends don't help them out around the house. But Max is the complete opposite. He is more of an OCD than me, and deep cleans our home every weekend. We share and divide tasks, like if he cooks, then I clean up, or if he does the laundry, then I fold them. This is how it has always been between us. When it came time to meet each other's parents, he told me how he had been pretty much low contact with his parents for a long time and only talked to them whenever necessary, since they never treated him well, and he recounted to me all his childhood stories. However, when he did decide to reach out to his parents about me, they were ecstatic to talk to him and immediately arranged a lunch date with us during the weekend. I was a bit nervous to meet his parents, but this was an important step for us. So I wanted to put in my 100%. His parents were unexpectedly warm towards me. And once they heard about my academic background, they became even more polite. Looking back, yes, it's true that they started to like me because of my academic inclination, but I didn't mind, as I wanted to impress them. His parents talked to me very frankly and told me how, after Max had gone low contact with them over quality the years after college, they had been thinking and realizing that they needed to be better to him. They told me how grateful they were that I came into his life, otherwise he might have never reached out to them. They even awkwardly apologized to him, which completely surprised Max. It was nice to see that his parents were finally making an effort in the right direction. However, when Olivia arrived, the mood changed. Max had not been informed that she would even be coming, so he was a bit miffed. His parents started to justify, saying how they had decided to call her since they felt this would be the perfect time to let go of the past so their family could move on. His mother continued to tell him how his sister was here only because she was happy for him. Olivia politely gave me a hug, and she just seemed super shy. That was my first impression. She completely ignored Max, as if he didn't even exist, and didn't say a single thing to him. When his parents started to brag to her about my academic background, her behavior changed. She started to question me about my work and the university I went to, and would then subtly mock how urban planners are affecting the environment. She even asked me at one point how I felt about murdering trees, which shocked me. It was like she wanted to put me down in front of her parents because she just could not handle the fact that they liked me. Throughout our lunch, she was passive-aggressive. She disagreed with or corrected everything I said, no matter how mundane. When we were finished for lunch, my father-in-law wanted to pay, but Max was insisting that he wanted to take care of the bills. Out of nowhere, Olivia interrupted, saying I should be the one paying for it since they were all here because of me. She certainly taunted this, since I was earning so much I could make good use of my money at least. This seriously offended me, as I did quite well, but she had no right to talk about me that way, and I think her parents noticed my facial expressions also. They immediately reprimanded her, and father-in-law told her that she was being extremely rude to me since I was just a guest. Mother-in-law agreed and told Olivia to shut her mouth. She clearly didn't like that and got up from her seat, pissed, then walked out of the restaurant. Max's parents apologized to me multiple times for her behavior and told me how she takes some time to warm up to strangers. I decided to let it go, thinking that I would never have to interact with her anyway, and for the sake of Max, I should keep it together. This should have been my first red flag about her. Unlike Max's family, my family absolutely adored Max and loved getting to know him. My parents were happy that we were living together and would check on me regularly. Over the years of dating, I have noticed that Olivia is always the first one to view my stories on social media. Now, I do have a public account where I post about my designs and professional achievements. I just have 1,000 followers, so it's easy for me to notice when she views my stories every day but does not interact or follow me. When Max's parents started to meet with me and Max more often, Olivia's obsession with me only grew stronger. We had a family message group between me, Max, his parents, and Olivia. It was mostly inactive unless we all met up and clicked pictures, so then we would send these pictures in the group. Olivia never showed up to meet with us anymore after the first time. However, she could see all the pictures in our group, and this probably upset her even more. Once, she sent a Facebook link to the group, asking me if this was me. Curiously, I clicked it to see that it was a photo from years ago with my then high school boyfriend. In the picture, we were hugging, and he had uploaded it when we had been dating. I have completely forgotten about the photo, and I don't even know how she found it or why she would even send it to the group, but I was not going to shy away from the truth, so I told her that this was me and that he was an old boyfriend. Olivia immediately replied, saying how I seemed awfully close and that I should ask my ex-boyfriend to remove this picture from his Facebook since it was not appropriate anymore. I was taken aback by how ridiculous she sounded. First of all, she had stalked me so much that she had ended up on my ex-boyfriend's page and then sent the photo link to the group knowingly, and then she blamed me for it. Thankfully, Max, who had probably been reading our messages in the group, replied, saying this was a completely normal picture and that he had no issues with the picture posted years ago. Olivia replied back passive-aggressively how he should date someone with better standards. I was so pissed, reading her message, that I would have ripped her hair out if she was standing in front of me. Max messaged back to her that he did have better standards, since I earned more than 4 times her salary. Now, I know this must have hurt her, since Olivia worked as a graphic designer and her parents had mentioned how she didn't earn enough for her to even move out. Olivia immediately exited the group in anger and later called Max, screaming and crying to him that he had no right to insult her in the group and that she was so done with us. Max didn't care, and this made her even more angry. I don't know what happened, but Max's parents did call and apologize to me in the evening. They told me how they had talked to her and that she was going to be better moving forward. They apologized to me for her and told me that they had no issues with the picture whatsoever. It was very awkward to be talking to my in-laws about my ex-boyfriend from years ago, but I was glad that they were not like Olivia. After this incident, Olivia pretty much stayed away from us. She never joined the group or bothered me again. A few months later, we were shocked to find out that she had eloped with a guy and got married in Vegas. Her parents were extremely shocked and pissed that they didn't even know who this guy was nor what they invited to the wedding. It turns out that Olivia had been dating an older guy, Isaac, who's 15 years older than her for quite some time. They met at work when Isaac was still married. This affair led to Isaac's wife divorcing him. When their divorce was finalized, Olivia eloped with him because she knew her parents would never allow her to marry an older divorcee or forgive her for having an affair with a married man. She had kept all of this from her parents for several years. She never even told them about any of this. Since they were already pissed that he was so much older than her, Max and I only found out about Isaac's history when he stalked the guy on his LinkedIn and Instagram. Apart from the affair part, we were happy for her, since we hoped she would turn over a new leaf after their marriage, although we refrained from contacting her. However, a few weeks later, I received a text from my sister-in-law unexpectedly. The message went something like this: "I know in the past I haven't been nice to you, and I would like to apologize. I have to admit that I didn't fully accept you as my family before, but now I've gotten past the prejudice I have against you and would like to get to know you better. I would like to have dinner with you and Max this weekend. Let me know if you both are available." I showed the message to Max, and he was wary about going, but I thought this might give us a chance to work everything out. And since she was extending an olive branch first, we discussed it, and I convinced him to go. I let her know as well that we would be coming, and she seemed happy about it. When we met, Olivia warmly welcomed us into her new place with Isaac. It was clear that Isaac was a wealthy guy, since he was much older than all of us. He had a modern home with a lot of gadgets, and Isaac, after introducing himself, got to know my husband around the place. Isaac apparently also had a dedicated shelf for all his collectibles. While the men were busy, me and Olivia got to talking. She apologized to me for her behavior and told me how, after marrying Isaac, she had changed. I politely smiled to let her know that it was all water under the bridge. Olivia then went on to explain why she hated me. She told me how I had changed Max and that he seemed more confident and happier after meeting me. I pointed out to her how this was a good thing, but she said how her brother had been in low contact with them for so long but only reached out because of me, so she felt jealous that I could make him do such a thing. Although what she told me didn't make any sense to me, I simply nodded, since I wanted to get this over with. Then she started to talk about how much happier she was now, so she could finally let go of her jealousy. She talked about how rich Isaac was and that she never had to work ever again. She brought up his various assets and how many cars he had, even though I never even asked about it. She then asked me how my work was going, and I told her about my recent promotion and fulfilling my work. I genuinely love designing, so sometimes I can ramble on about my work. Olivia immediately changed the subject and started to ask me invasive questions, like when I would get married to her brother. I told her that we had discussed, but we were in no hurry because we both believed that things happened at the right time. Olivia scoffed and told me that this was all BS, and that I needed to push Max to propose to me so that I don't get too old later to have children. This made me laugh, and I told her how me and Max never wanted kids and we were fine with how our relationship was going. This made Olivia's eyes widen in shock, and she started to say how, as a woman, it was our duty to give birth, and even asked me why I was with Max if I didn't want to give him children. I felt so irritated with her invasiveness and told her that her brother and I were adults enough to decide what we wanted. She then got pissed and started yelling for Max. When Max and Isaac came running into the room while I sat feeling shocked by her behavior, Olivia demanded Max tell her if he had any idea about the type of woman he was marrying, since I had no interest in continuing his bloodline. Max laughed at her words, just like I had done a few moments ago, and asked if she realized how ridiculous she sounded right now. Olivia got even more angry and raised her voice, saying that she was going to tell their parents and that they would never allow him to marry me. Max yelled back that no one could refrain him from marrying me if he wanted to, and that because of narcissistic and controlling behavior, he never wanted to ever get back in touch with her. They were getting more heated, so I asked Max if we could leave, and he agreed. Isaac apologized to us repeatedly while Olivia stood there glaring at me. Later, in our car ride home, I burst out crying, since I felt really bad about what she had told me. I asked Max seriously if he wanted to have children, but he assured me that he never wanted one, and that I should not allow Olivia's backward thinking to mess with my head. He assured me that if he had wanted anything different, then he would not even be with me. I felt a bit better after that. I don't know if Olivia ever did talk to their parents about what I had told her, but thankfully, they never reached out to me saying anything. Max's parents have continued to meet with us whenever they could, and they have never brought up anything she told them. After this incident, I blocked Olivia from all my social media because I was truly done with her. This year, Max proposed to me at our favorite date spot. And ever since then, we have been busy with our wedding preparations. Our parents are really happy for us and have congratulated us on our upcoming nuptials. Olivia did find out from her parents and sent Max a text message simply saying, "I hope you know what you're doing," which pissed him off. I also felt sad that she had continued to hold a grudge against me to this day. Now this is where things got even more complicated with her. 2 months back, my fiancé and I had a headache and wasn't feeling too good, so I ordered to whip up his favorite dish. Realizing we were short on some ingredients, I decided to hit the grocery store. The first one I went to didn't have everything I needed, so I ended up driving around a bit until I found another store in a different part of town. As I strolled through the shopping complex on my way to the store, I happened to pass by a cafe, and to my surprise, I spotted my sister-in-law cozying up with some guy. At first, I thought it might be Isaac, but after a second look, I realized the guy looked close to her age, with brown hair. They were holding hands and sharing kisses, acting all giggly and chatty like teenagers. This was quite a shocker for me, because as far as I knew, my sister-in-law was still married to Isaac. If they had broken up, my fiancé's parents would have definitely informed us. In a state of disbelief, I couldn't resist taking a few pictures as my eyes confirmed what I was witnessing. She never even noticed me, as she was so busy with the guy. Later, when I came back home, my hands were shaking. Max knew something was wrong and came to talk to me. I spilled out everything, and he was taken aback just like me. He asked me 2 to 3 times if I was sure about what I had seen. I nodded yes and even showed him pictures. He saw each picture closely and agreed that it was definitely not Isaac. We discussed what to do about this, but I didn't know if this was a good idea, since I didn't want Olivia to fight with him again. He assured me that he would be careful and have a talk with Isaac man to man and told me how, as Olivia's husband, Isaac deserves to know the truth. So Max talked to Isaac privately. It turns out that Isaac was shocked to find out that Olivia had been cheating on him with a much younger guy. But what is even more shocking is that Olivia is pregnant. Yes, pregnant. Apparently they had just found out, and she has kept this on the down low since then because she has been waiting for the right time to announce. Isaac was floored that Olivia could do something like this to him and thankful to Max for telling him. He begged us to not tell Olivia anything about this and that he would take care of it soon. Max agreed, and since then, we have kept our noses out of it. Now, we had our wedding last week. Max's parents had convinced us to invite Olivia also since she was family and told us how it would look bad if she was missing. We agreed just to shut them up, and I firmly told them that they needed to talk to her and make sure that she didn't make a scene at our wedding. His parents agreed, and we believed them. On the day of our wedding, everything seemed to be going smoothly. Our ceremony went well, and we moved on to the reception. When it came to giving speeches, my parents gave a beautiful speech about me, and my dad teared up, saying how his baby girl had finally grown up. Dad also gave a speech and thanked me for bringing the family close, which was so sweet to their heart, honestly. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my sister-in-law attempting to grab the microphone from father-in-law. While it might seem innocent to others, I know her well enough to not take any chances. I had already tipped off my bridesmaids to instruct the DJ to cut the mic if my sister-in-law ever tried to take control. When Olivia attempted to speak into the microphone, she quickly realized that her voice wasn't carrying, and she glanced around. Max and I simply acted like we had no idea. Later, when my maid of honor Martha took the mic from my sister-in-law and the DJ turned it on, Olivia must have realized that we deliberately cut her off. She started to scream in the middle of my maid of honor's speech about how dare we not let her speak and how she had an important announcement. She tried to grab the mic from Martha, who refused to give it to her. We then watched in horror as Olivia angrily got up onto her chair and started to speak loudly about how she had known all along I was jealous of her, that I was such a bridezilla to not let her speak at my wedding. People watched her in confusion and shock, And she then continued to announce that she was pregnant, and she wanted to reveal this today, since she felt this was the perfect time with all loved ones gathered around. She then smiled and looked around, hoping for people to stop to congratulate her. However, everyone just looked around awkwardly. Max's parents looked aghast, whispered to Olivia to not embarrass them further, and that she needed to sit back down in her seat. But this just made Olivia go red in embarrassment. She glanced at me and started to yell if I was happy for doing this to my own husband's family, and that this is why she never wanted her brother to marry a loose woman like me. Max, who had up until then tried to remain calm for the sake of me, got up from his chair and looked like he was going to give her a thrashing of her life. However, before we could react, Isaac, who was sitting beside Olivia, took the mic from Martha, and he apologized to us for Olivia's behavior and then congratulated us on our wedding. Then he turned to Olivia and told her that he never wanted to do this publicly, but she needed to be taught a lesson. Olivia looked at him confusedly, while Isaac went on to say about how it was true that Olivia was indeed pregnant, but that he was not the father of the child. The crowd gasped, and I couldn't help but cringe, knowing where this was heading. Olivia's expression turned sour. Isaac turned to her and announced, "Let's first figure out who is the father to your child, then worry about the announcement," and smirked at her. Max's parents, who were silent, asked what he meant, and this is when he showed them pictures from his phone about how Olivia had been cheating on him for the past 2 months with another guy. Thankfully, Isaac never once threw me and Max under the bus and simply continued to say how he'd become suspicious about her behavior and had hired a PI who had clicked all these pictures. Max's parents glanced through the pictures in disgust and horror while the guests continued to whisper. Olivia sat speechless throughout all of this, perhaps trying to comprehend the fact that she could not hide the truth anymore. Max then seized the opportunity and asked Olivia to get out of our wedding and that he was embarrassed by being related to a woman like her. She burst out crying, holding up her things, and left. After this debacle, we tried to save the rest of the wedding, but everyone was just too riled up about what Olivia had done to Isaac and us. All anyone could talk about was her affair and her pregnancy. It was really embarrassing for us and Max's parents also. And since then, I've been getting emails from random email addresses, which clearly belong to my sister-in-law, threatening me that she wants to finish me because apparently this is all my fault and that I should have just let her announce her pregnancy, so she would not have been publicly humiliated. I have shown these messages to Max, and he believes we have done nothing wrong and this was all her own doing. He might be biased, so here I am asking Aita for being too harsh on my sister-in-law and not allowing her to announce her pregnancy. Update 1. Wow, when I posted this, I hoped a few people would tell me if I did anything wrong. For now, there are hundreds of comments on my post calling my sister-in-law an asshole. This post has blown up in a few days. First of all, thank you for showing me that she is as crazy as I have always thought her to be. To answer some of your questions, yes. Isaac has informed us that he will be getting a divorce from Olivia. Yes, I will be forwarding all screenshots of her emails to Isaac, which will definitely come in handy for the court proceedings. Now, we haven't yet talked with Max's parents, but because we are still in our honeymoon and this is quite a heavy topic, so we plan on meeting them face-to-face for this conversation. Yes, my parents and my relatives were just as shocked as everyone, and my parents continue to check up on me every day as they are shaken up by how Olivia behaved towards me. I think for such a long time, I hoped that she and I would become at least cordial, that I have forgotten to notice just how manipulative and narcissistic she truly is. It is only now, when my family is pointing it out and assuring me that they have my back, that I feel confident enough in my decision to cut her out of our lives, even if Max's parents might resist it. Update 2. So we got a chance to talk with Max's parents now that we are back from our honeymoon. They are extremely embarrassed, to say the least. They have informed us that they have cut off Olivia, which was completely unexpected for us to hear. They continued to tell us how Olivia wanted to move back in with them since Isaac kicked her out, but they refused to even let her in. In the end, she had to go and stay with one of her friends. Max informed his parents that what Olivia had done at our wedding was unforgivable, and moving forward, we would like no contact with her whatsoever. If they ever changed their minds and wanted us to include Olivia again, then we would also cut them off if we had to. Max's mother started to cry, talking about how painful all of this was and that she never expected Olivia to do something like this. I don't know how true they will remain to their word, but I'm glad that my husband is a no-nonsense person, unlike me, so I know he will never allow her back into our lives. I'm glad that we are done with Olivia completely. Update 3. It has been 8 months since my last update, and I just wanted to update that Isaac has finally divorced Olivia. Isaac informed us that Olivia did admit to everything towards the end. She confessed that she'd been seeing this guy on the side and it was purely physical, but she got pregnant. She never wanted any relationship with him, so she had hoped that she could get away with it. Since she was at fault for having an affair and they didn't have any children, she would not be getting any alimony from him. Due to this, Olivia begged Isaac to let her keep one of his cars at least as a keepsake, but Isaac refused. She then started to cry about how she had no one to depend on during her pregnancy since the father of the child had abandoned her also, but Isaac let her know that it was none of his business anymore. We continued to remain in touch with Isaac despite his divorce. Max and Isaac have grown closer in the past few months. They sometimes meet during the weekend to play video games. Max's parents have not talked to Olivia, so I'm guessing she is truly alone. For her child's sake, I hope she makes the right decisions moving forward.